What's good, y'all? Today, I kind of want to talk about one of my favorite topics. If you haven't been living under a rock, you probably heard the song Doja by Central Cee. And I just kind of wanted to talk about a bigger overview about British rap in general and why most Americans just don't like it. It's been very interesting to me just because, it's a lot more lyrical than American rap, but I think us as Americans have a tendency to only kind of section ourselves into American culture, whereas other cultures kind of soak in American culture as well. Before I go any further, it would mean a lot if you could leave a like and subscribe to my channel. All the support, comments, all that stuff helps, and so it would just mean a lot to me if you did that. So as far as reasons go, I'd say the number one reason is probably stereotypes or memes on the internet. And what I mean by that is kind of when you go on Twitter and for example, someone cracks a joke about America. Some American will, and let's say they're British, someone will respond with a joke about their teeth because I guess historically the British have bad teeth, or about a full English breakfast, which I guess no one really in America eats beans on toast like that. But it's just things like that. And I mean, while those are stereotypes and that sort of thing, I feel like a lot of Americans have a tendency to generalize, and that's not me speaking bad about my own country, but it's just thinking about it as if not every British person's the same, obviously, just like America's a country of 330 million people, not all of us are the same. But when you think about things like that, people aren't necessarily taking into the consideration oh, do you think Dave has bad teeth, like the rapper Dave has bad teeth, or do you think AJ Tracy always eats beans on toast and things like that? And so also the language barrier as well. And I know we speak the same language, which is crazy, but obviously the British people have a different dialect of how they pronounce English. And so some Americans might find that funny, but when you're listening to the song, I mean, you don't really care about that. If you think of classic bands like the Stone Roses, Blur, Oasis, those are all great old British bands, but you can distinguish them from an American band. And so it's things like that where when you take out the generalizations, you take out the stereotypes, you take out all this stuff, and just listen to the music, I mean, who really cares? I will say for the second reason, probably the slang is different, and obviously a lot of rappers kind of use some American slang, or I guess even black slang, but no typical American is going to know what the word pang means and things like that. And so I think that honestly is a big barrier for him. Words like quang, skang, things like that. And I also think it's very different because a lot of the black population in America are African Americans or descendants from slaves, like American slaves. And a lot of the African population in England, I should say, is descendants from Africa or Jamaican or Trinidadian and that sort of thing. And so a lot of their I was about to say lingo.
You don't know where I'm from, dog.
Are it's just it's different. The word mandem is probably a big one, and when you think about that it has originations in Jamaica because there's a large Jamaican population who immigrated to England. And so things like that, it's two different cultures. I will say the one thing that surprises me though is that there's not intersectionality between the drill movements, because a lot of the biggest drill rappers in New York are looking to London to kind of collaborate. The late Pop Smoke, may God rest his soul, did a lot of collaborations with UK producers and UK artists. And then even when you're thinking about currently, B Love, who is on the rise in New York, was just on Digga D's most recent album, and Digga D is probably one of my favorite UK artists. I'll touch on him a little later. But it's just things like that. You would think by these collaborations, obviously Skepta had Praise the Lord in 2018, and he had Lean for Real in 2018 as well. Just ASAP and Cardi within months of each other. And even on More Life, when Giggs and Skepta basically made that album, they made the first half of that album, and just things like that. They have these big placements, but Americans just aren't listening to them, which is crazy to me. As far as artists I would recommend, I would give 3 kind of introductory albums to get you into the genre. and I will give you three like very different vibes. So my first recommendation is The Big Conspiracy by J Haas. J Haas has long been one of my favorite UK artists. He's more of an Afrobeat type of person now, but Common Sense and Big Conspiracy are two of my favorite albums ever. They produce endless bangers, and J Haas is friends with Drake, so he's the Drake co-sign. You know, as for all my Americans and Canadians watching, you know he's legit. But Big Conspiracy, it dropped like right during COVID started, and so that was like one of the albums I listened to most during COVID. But J Haas is he's one of the right, well, he is a star. I was about to say rising star, but he's one of the best in the UK right now. My second recommendation is Self-Titled by AJ Tracey. It was kind of dropped in early 2019, but AJ Tracey is one of the most globally recognized artists in the UK right now, but he also has a lot of great lyrics. If you search up his Packages freestyle back in 2016, it's one of the greatest freestyles ever in my opinion in rap history. But AJ Tracey has kind of a lot of deeper cuts, and it has a lot of pop songs as well. It's a nice little balance. And so for someone who's just trying to get into the genre, that's a good starting point. And then lastly, I would recommend Konnichiwa by Skepta. I know this one is a lot more mainstream than probably the other two. That's Not Me is kind of like one of the biggest, it's a big party song in the US, so it has to be even bigger in Britain. And from what I've heard, that song was like one of the first big grime songs to start charting on Billboard and that sort of thing. And so Skepta and his kind of group Boy Better Know kind of ushered in the new era of UK rap in the early 2000s, in early 2010s. And so Konnichiwa kind of meshes together the like pop stuff, the grimy stuff, and then like a lot of the like slower stuff. And so it's one of my favorite albums of all time. And most definitely it's an album that I would recommend to anyone who's just trying to get into the new genre of music. It's considered a classic by most British rap fans. And so it's definitely a good entry point in my opinion. To conclude a little bit, I just kind of want to say thank you for watching. It means a lot for your support. You made it to the end of the video. Thank you for willing to learn about a new topic. It's something that I'm kind of passionate about because I want to learn as many cultures as I can. It's nice to be well-rounded, and so music is kind of the global sound. It's the global language in my opinion, because music is something that can connect people. And in some ways the British struggle is kind of the same as the American black struggle, and kind of there's a lot of parallels in my opinion between how they express their music and their sound towards society, and how American rap is kind of used as a political statement sometimes. And so I think if Americans can kind of see the parallel with that, then we can become a lot more accepting of British rap and international rap in general.